Hey, you guys. Happy Monday. I'm gonna let you guys come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. I want to share something with you guys. And I pray that it blesses somebody. Come on in. Come on in. Let me know who's here. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. So, I'm not going to belabor things, right? I want to share this with you guys because I firmly believe that as people, particularly as people of color, as people in general, we often don't understand the depth of some of the wounds that we carry. I believe that many of us operate in a state of PTSD that we're not even aware of. Like it's there, but like we didn't know it was there. So, we just go on like nothing has happened. And I just want to pull the cover off. I get amazed at how, I'm going to say how strong people think I am. And really, I am strong. I absolutely am. I'm strong. I'm resilient. I persevere. I do all of those things. But I also hurt. And I think that sometimes when you're good at continuing to keep moving, people don't realize the depth of the hurts that you've experienced. They don't realize that ish they do affects you, right? And sometimes we get so good at not letting people know because we don't want them to know that they affected us. The old saying, never let them see you sweat, never let them see you cry, never let them see you in pain. You just don't do that. You guard that. You guard your heart, your mind, your spirit. You guard it, and you don't allow people to see it so they don't think for some reason that there's pain there, right? And so, throughout the years of my life, I've experienced different things and different betrayals and different situations and different circumstances and friendships ending and relationships ending. And all of those things are common things, right? But there are some that hit especially hard. And what's really crazy is when you have people in your life that you love so much, and it's like their stuff hurts the worst, right? Um, so yesterday I was having a conversation with a former friend, and we were talking, and all of a sudden, some stuff started coming up in me. Y'all, when I tell y'all that I'm generally pretty good about just masking my pain. Like, I'm generally pretty good about masking my pain. I'm generally pretty good about not letting people know how deeply things that they've done hurt me. I'm generally pretty good about holding it together and, just continuing to move on and keep on and just go. But I promise you right now, I'm a little raw, right? So, because my emotions are raw and I'm dealing with my dad being in hospice. I'm raw. I'm raw right now. And I understand that. And so I've consciously been very careful about what I say to people because I know that when you're raw, you can hurt people. And so that's never my intention. I don't want to hurt anybody, And so I try to find a space where I can either not address things or try to address things in a way that doesn't destroy people because I know my tongue is sharp and it'll cut somebody up and chop them all the way down. And so I try not to do that because although I understand that hurt people don't have to hurt people can choose to heal. Okay. And so I try to operate from a place of healing, right? I have an assignment as a healer. And so, as a healer, I try to be very cognizant of what I say. And so, yesterday, I was having this conversation, and all of a sudden, all of this old stuff rose up in me. And all of the things that I didn't articulate, the things that I didn't say, the hurt that I felt that I never expressed or really showed to anybody involved. I always try to operate from a place of being a leader who leads from the front. So I'm always going to identify my part in stuff, apologize for my part. And anyone who's known me any period of time knows that if I did something, I promise you, I will tell that I did it. Okay. You don't have to wonder. You don't have to try to figure it out. You don't have to guess. If I did some ish, you gonna know I did it. Because if you ask me, I'm gonna tell, yes, I did that. I was wrong, but I did that, right? That's how I roll. So it bothers me when people ascribe things to me and my life and my name and my behavior that I did not do, because I do enough stuff on my own by myself, okay, that I gladly tell about, right? I believe that it is important that there is a level of transparency that exists, because it is in the transparency that other people learn that they can overcome the challenges of life, right? So that's how I live my life, from a place of authenticity, transparency. That's how I live. Now, listen, I can't control how nobody else lives their lives. If you live your life based on lies, then you live your life based on lies. That's just not my choice. I don't choose to live like that. And I am very good at assessing myself. I'm very honest with myself. In fact, I'm probably one of my harshest critics, right? And so I know where I'm coming from when I do things and when I say things. And so in the midst of this conversation, all of a sudden I got emotional. I was on my way to the hospital to see my dad, and some stuff had happened during the day. And I was just like, I don't know what people think about, but I think most people really don't think about what they do, when they do it, and how they do it, right? Because if they did, they wouldn't do some of the stuff that they do, right? So I'm on my way to the hospital and I'm having this conversation. Something was said and it just triggered a flood of things, right? And I'm not saying this to say that that person is a bad person or anybody involved is a bad person. It has nothing to do with bad people and good people. It has nothing to do with that. But my prayer is this. My prayer is that if you've been that person that has just kept moving, if you've been that person who just takes the punches and roll with it, if you've been that person that's been dealing with pain, hurt, and trauma, but you don't really address it, that maybe this live will help you in some small way. Because what happens is, when you don't allow yourself to feel what you feel, is those emotions get bottled up, and they get bottled up, and eventually they shoot forth like a volcano. They literally will create an explosion, right? And the challenge with it creating an explosion is the lava from the explosion gets on everyone around you. And when lava is released, lava is hot and it burns, right? When you think about lava, lava is hot and it burns. And so when you bottle all those emotions up and you don't talk about it, when you don't deal with it, when you just move on, because that's what you do, right? You don't, you just like, okay, I did this, I did that, and this, so this is where I am. So I'm just getting ready to move on. But it's a deep wound. I haven't had a whole lot of super deep wounds, particularly as it relates to friendships. I have had some. And it became one of the reasons that I just didn't really trust people, period. Love people, just don't necessarily trust them. And it seemed like every time I opened up to trust, there was damage attached to it. Now, I'm good about recognizing that as human beings, we make mistakes, we mess up, we all do. And I'm good about extending other people grace. But let me tell you what I've discovered along this journey. A lot of people are not good about extending me grace. No, people think because of who I am, because of the office that I occupy, that I shouldn't feel anything. Um, that my life is not different from their life. My life is different from their life in that I don't go through the stuff that they go through. And what I discovered is where I would cover, comfort, and protect others, they would out, judge, criticize, and condemn me. And it hurt. So I realized yesterday that there were still some deep friendship wounds. Now I've dealt with a lot of my relational stuff, right? I spent the year dealing with my relationship stuff, right? My romantic relationship stuff, my stuff from my marriages. I dealt with that stuff. But that friendship piece, that's deep for me. Because see, when I love you, like I love you for real. Like I love you, and I'm gonna do everything in my power to protect you, everything in my power to make sure you succeed, everything in my power to make sure that you have what you need. I'm gonna do everything in my power, even if it's me giving my last. I'm gonna put myself on the line for you because that's what I do with people that I love, right? Now, if I don't give two flips about you, then I'm not doing all that for you. But if I love you, oh, I got you. I got you. And so a lot of times when things get rough, when things get rocky, people begin to go into self-preservation mode. And I get it. But y'all, we can't keep trying to preserve ourselves by not feeling, by not acknowledging our emotions, by not addressing it, by not having difficult conversations. We avoid difficult conversations, and that just is not me. Like, I generally try to have difficult conversations because they're necessary to clear the air. I'm not talking about no difficult freaking text messages, because text messages do not convey. You don't get the nuances of communication. You don't have all of the different things: voice, tone, body movement, gestures, eye contact. Just you don't have all of that with text messages. Text messages, y'all keep communicating through text messages, and you're gonna end up with a whole bunch of messes on your hand that you gotta clean up, right? So I have difficult conversations. I've learned to allow myself to feel my emotions. No one can tell you what you should and should not feel. And I don't tell others what they should and should not feel. You have every right to feel whatever emotion that you feel. You have every right to think whatever it is that you think, right? But it doesn't mean that what you think is accurate. And it doesn't mean that your feeling is an accurate response to what's going on, but it's your response. And so we deal with things from where they are. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, as many people as I've had in my life and come through my life, there always comes a point historically where there's a disconnect. And those people who have been connected to me will tell you that I'm very upfront with people about when you feel like you need to disconnect from me, if you feel like our relationship is no longer serving you, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Listen, I release you, but listen, can you do it in a way that I'm not in the dark about what's transpired, right? That's the piece I don't understand. I don't understand. And I was sitting here and I just had an epiphany because I just did that. I did that with someone, and I've got to go back and fix it. You see, that's the stuff I do. See, I'm on my grown woman-ish. And my grown woman-ish means that when I recognize that I've replicated a pattern that disturbed me, then I got to go fix it, right? That's how I move. So I'm not the person who's getting ready to lie about something that I did or didn't do. I don't have time for that. Not in a romantic relationship, not in a friendship. If I said it, I said it. If I did it, I did it. Like, it is what it is. And we can deal with it from there. We can make whatever decisions we need to make. If we need to sever our relationship, that's fine. I understand. I get it. I believe everyone has a right to have free will and a right to make a choice in interactions and in relationships. And so that's what we miss in society. We often don't do that. We don't want to have the difficult conversations. We don't want to address the issues that need to be addressed. We don't want to do that, but it's necessary. It's necessary. So I had to acknowledge that I was hurt more than I even wanted to admit. And that even now, as I think about it, like, it still hurts me. I'm still very much hurt and wounded by it, right? And the wound was deepened because as I'm facing my father's transition, they were connected to my father. They met my father. You know what I'm saying? And I never thought that I would be facing this day without those people in my life. I just didn't. But you know what I do not want to happen, right? I do not want to happen where, somebody dies and then all of a sudden everybody's trying to be there, because that's fake and that's phony. Listen, I am a firm believer that when I love you and you have a loss in your family, I'm going to do everything in my power. And I have done this consistently in relationships. I've moved heaven and earth to get to people, to get to places, to let them know that I love them, to support them financially. I have done that. I have done that. I have done it, and I have done it, and I have done it. And I'm in a place in my life. Listen, I'm telling y'all, I'm in a place in my life where I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not hurt by things. And I'm not going to sweep things under the rug. And I'm not going to act like I'm just good, right? See, people have been watching me for the past few weeks, for the past 2 months, and really had no idea all that was going on in my life. They didn't know, because I don't show up like that. Because I still take my pictures, I still smile, I still teach, I still do my courses, I do my coaching, I do my work for my clients. I get it done because that's what I do, right? So if someone questions my integrity on that piece, like, I got a problem with that. Because I've consistently throughout my life shown up for people. Even when all hell was breaking loose in my life, like, I learned how to keep going when all hell was breaking loose in my life, because guess what? All hell tends to break loose in my life. I'm like, what is going on? But God is constantly growing me and grooming me. And then what God does is he'll put some people in your life that you're not even expecting, right? You're not expecting them to be the ones that check in on you. You're not expecting them to be the ones that, say, hey, sis, I'm just checking on you. I know you got a lot going on and I'm here for you. But they're there. And they check in. And they show love and care and concern, publicly and privately. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate every one of you who have checked on me and who've been there for me, because you knew. But y'all, I'm not going to act like everything is all good, because it is not. I think one of the most difficult things in the world is to know that someone that you love is getting ready to transition and you don't know exactly when it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen, but you don't know when it's going to happen. And throughout this process, God had already shown me my dad wasn't going to make it through 2021. So I knew I had to get to my daddy. I knew I had to get my daddy to me so that I could try to be there for him. And praise God, he allowed it to happen, and he allowed me to have a few weeks where my dad was in his right mind and he was here with me, and he celebrated my 55th birthday with me, and he got to go to my conference, and he got to meet some of my folks, and he got to hear me speak again. He got to hear me preach it. Like, we were able to have the difficult conversations, and We talked about death, and we talked about life, and we talked about how he wanted things to be. And we talked about those things. We had those conversations because my dad taught me not to be afraid of death and dying. See, if you live right, you ain't got to be scared to die. But it doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't. I'm grateful. I got to plug up, y'all. Bear with me. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I had the time to heal with my daddy that I've had. I'm so grateful for it because do you know what he just did for me? He broke this curse that's been on me for romantic relationships. Just by us being able to mend our relationship, like that's broken off of me. I can now see myself the way my dad sees me, the way God sees me. And I can now be open and honest about what I need in a romantic relationship. He couldn't wait to be with his great grands and to be able to see them and spend time with his grandchildren. And, all he would talk about is these babies, and couldn't wait for the new baby to be born. But it was bittersweet because I knew once he saw that baby, that his prayer would have been fulfilled. He said, I just want to make sure that I just want to live long enough to see this baby be born. So while I'm celebrating the birth of my granddaughter, I'm also a little anxious. All of the things that you go through in your life are designed by God to get you to a place of healing, a place of wholeness, a place where you can begin to share with other people so that they can walk out their healing. You see, I understand. I just got an affirmation, and the affirmation said, you were created for this job. You were created for this job. I was created to be a healer. But how can you be a healer if you haven't had to heal? You can't. How can you be a healer if you don't deal with all your wounds? You can't. I mean, you can, but listen, there's another dimension that God is trying to take us to. And it means that you can't hold on to that residual stuff. That residual stuff got to come up. All that pain had to come up. All that hurt had to come up. All that betrayal had to come up. All that disappointment had to come up. All my stuff had to come up. Everything had to come up so that I could begin to look at it and forgive me and forgive others. Whether anybody ever apologizes or not, like that's irrelevant, right? I'm not responsible for that. I'm responsible for me. And I made sure that I went through and I apologized for my part in anything that transpired because it's always multiple parts to everything. And the moment you say that you didn't play a part, you're lying to yourself and you're deceiving yourself. I can own my part. This is what I did, and I apologize for this, right? That's a part of being grown. That's a part of maturing. See, and that's the problem that a lot of times in the church, there's a lack of spiritual maturity. We want to be so grown, but we're not grown enough to address stuff. You're not grown then. You're not grown. You're playing dress up. You're playing grown up, but you're not grown. See, grown people have difficult conversations. Grown people address stuff head on. Grown people mend relationships that matter. Now, when it comes to relationships that don't matter, you don't have to do any work. You don't have to do any of that. But I know that I've done everything that I could do to try to mend any relationship that I needed to mend. And anything beyond that is out of my control. So I made the decision because I was crying and I was like, I don't be letting people see, you're not going to know that you hurt me or how badly you hurt me. You're not going to know. I'm that one that I would break up with people before they broke up with me. Oh, no, you will not. You will not, But I know that there are things that God is getting ready to do in my life, and I can't carry that weight with me. I can't not allow people into my life because of things that happened in relationships in the past. I can't keep the wall up. Y'all know we get good at putting a wall up. I can't keep the wall up because someone violated that trust. I can't. So I know that this is because there are some amazing things that are getting ready to happen in my life. Some amazing people who are getting ready to step into my life. And it's amazing people who are in my life who don't deserve to be blocked out because of what other people did. They don't deserve it. It's not fair to them, right? When all they've done is be consistent, to be faithful, and to be supportive. Now, not everybody qualifies for that, but there are some. And I value those people greatly. I value you, each and every one of you, right? So I just wanted to come on and let you know that true healing costs you something. It may cost you your pride, because you can't be operating in pride and get full healing. You can't. You've got to allow yourself to be vulnerable. You can't act like you don't hurt or you don't feel anything. You can't, because you're not being authentic. You're not being real. You're not being genuine. No, it hurts. And when things hurt, they hurt. You're waiting to see what's coming next. I just know I want to be able to pass on to my children and my children's children a legacy of being able to handle people right. I was talking to my daughter and, we were talking about, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but she's like, Mama, I got that from you. I watched you, deal with stuff and deal with things that people did to you that you did not deserve. And people would say, oh, well, your kids just don't know. My kids know. I remember my ex told my kids something and my son asked me about it and I answered him honestly. I am not the one to be running around here trying to keep up a lie. It's too much work, right? It's much easier to tell the truth and tell what you learned from your mistakes and your mess ups. It's much easier to talk about how these things can be avoided in their life. It's much easier than to present a facade, right? So when last night we had our self-healing class, how to start your self-healing journey. And it was so interesting because I had an opportunity to have a conversation with Coach Eric about what was going on for me. And he and I talked about it because no one came on. Well, somebody came on, but they got off, but I didn't get a chance to really promote, but I've got another class. We've got another class coming on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. It's going to be our last one before we start our next session. But we were talking and I'm grateful for him because I'm able to just be honest and transparent and know that I'm safe. Safety is big for me. Being safe in a space, right? It's really big with me. And I was talking about what happened and what transpired. And he was like, and that happened when, And so we were talking about it and processing through it. And one of the things that I realized is that everything that I go through is designed to help me to be more compassionate and develop the skill sets required to help people navigate these tumultuous waters in life. Who on here has been betrayed by someone you called a friend? Anybody? Anybody out here been betrayed by someone you called a friend? Anybody? Okay. Y'all, see, this is important because we've gone through this, especially if you are a leader. If you are called to lead people, people will betray you. People will betray. People that you've given your last to, people that you've gone without for, people that you've done everything that you could for, they will betray you. They will identify your weaknesses and use them against you. They will take the things that you've told them in confidence and share them with other people and use it as an indictment on your character. They will do that. People will do that. It is what people do, okay? But we can't let that stop us. We can't let that stop us from knowing who we are. We can't let that stop us from growing from our mistakes, from their mistakes, from the mistakes that we observed in other people. We've got to use everything as an opportunity to learn and to grow, okay? We can't get bitter because if you get bitter, you will never get what God has for you. You just will not. You will not. If you hold on to anger and animosity and hatred and jealousy and envy, you won't get there. Not to the place of true destiny. You might get close. You might get to an approximation, but you won't get to the real thing until you deal with that stuff. And so, in order to break the generational curses that exist in our families, so that she knows how to go through the challenges that will come in her life. Oh, they're going to come. Why? She's going to be a boss. Listen, she's going to be a boss. She's strong-willed. She's determined. She's just like her big mama and her mama. Listen, we have certain characteristics and traits, and we have assignments in the earth realm. And that means that it is my job as her grandmother to prepare her for people who hate her just because she's her. Just because she's out of my bloodline. Just because she's strong-willed. Just because she has a mind and an assignment from God. There'll be people who hate her, and there will be people who betray her. And I need her to understand that that doesn't mean that something is wrong with her. It simply means that everybody has to have a Judas in their life at some point, even Christ. Christ knew that Judas was a key part of the assignment. He knew that Judas had to do what he had to do. It was necessary. But you notice that he did not condemn Judas. Judas condemned himself, right? So it's not for us to condemn those people. It's our job to love them. Love them from a distance, but love them nonetheless. So I'm grateful for everyone who's ever been in my life, whether the relationship continued or it ended, whether it ended rocky or rough and painfully, or it ended where it was a mutual agreement. Regardless, I am grateful. There is no one who has ever been in my life that did not serve purpose in my life. No one that I regret allowing into my life. As much as you like to say, oh, I wish I hadn't let them in. If you hadn't, you wouldn't be who you are today. So we can't get caught up in that. Some relationships will heal. They'll mend, right? Those destiny relationships, they're mendable. Those that are not attached to your destiny serve their purpose. Be grateful for that and keep it moving. But do not get stuck in that place of holding on to that. Do not get stuck in that place of holding grudges. Don't do it. I was having a conversation with someone and we were talking about love, right? What is love, right? Well, the word tells us that love is patient, love is kind, love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. And when we love with God's love, that's how we love and that's how we show up. Wednesday night at 8 p.m., Coach Eric and I are going to be doing the How to Start Your Journey to Self-Healing class. Now, you may feel like you're healed and you don't need it, but I promise you, there are levels and layers to healing, right? I just went through and healed from some romantic stuff, and then here's this friendship stuff popping up. Like, what in the world? There are levels and layers. The class is absolutely free. And I will promise you this, you will walk away with some information that you can immediately apply to your life. And it's easy to register. All you have to do is go to bit.ly, all lowercase, / self-heal now. Self-heal now. bit.ly / self-heal now. All lowercase, so that you can register for the class. But don't just register. Register and show up. Register and show up and be committed to participating actively in what's going on. Be ready to show your face, because true healing requires us to be able to see one another. It requires mutual vulnerability. And so we want to make sure that we create an atmosphere where everybody can get what they need for their healing. I just wanted to come on and let you guys know that, listen, yeah, I got a lot going on. I'm going through a lot right now, but I promise you, I'm going to be okay. I know that God has got me. I know this is a part of his divine plan to prepare me for my destiny. I want you to make sure that you take full advantage of what he sends and allows for your destiny preparation. Everything is about the destiny, and I refuse to allow anything in me or outside of me to stop me from getting to that place of destiny. So It's up to you what you do. But I just want to encourage you. Go register. The link is in the description of this video. And let's take this healing journey together. I believe that this next healing class, baby, this one is going to be one for the record books. The first one was off the chain. It created incredible impact in the lives of the participants. But I believe this one is going to take it to another dimension. And so you don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss being a part of that. So join us Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at bit.ly/self-heal-now, all lowercase, all one word. And let's get to healing. Next dimension, it's time. Look, I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Get ready for what God is getting ready to do in your life. Be blessed.